Hello, Laura Donnelly here from The Healing Path, and it's brought to you by Dancing with Ease, Body Brain Balance. I'm really, really excited today to talk to my friend Dale. She's a writer and author, a writing coach, and inspiring person all around. And like all the people I've talked to on the Healing Path, she does healing work with people in various channels and a lot through writing. And writing's been a big part of my life and a big part of my healing journey. So I'm really excited that she'll be here. And the Healing Path is a series of conversations with friends and colleagues I have who are working in all areas of the healing field. My goal is for people to find a modality that resonates with them and to start to explore. Healing is a magical journey, and it is an unpredictable journey. What it looks like is, for me, always a surprise. So the main thing that I have in common with all the people that I ask to speak on the Healing Path is that we all believe, no matter what else you do, if you go to the medical doctors and you go to a chiropractor, whatever, the beginning of healing starts with self-healing, the desire from inside to get out of our own way and be our most authentic selves. So I will bring Dale onto the screen and she'll tell you a little bit more about herself and we'll just do some chatting today.
Hey, hello, thank you. I was just listening to your lovely introduction and I loved that thing that you said, healing is always such a surprise. Because I think that when we engage in all the different things that we do, it's like standing in the field of opportunities and waiting to see what happens. So a little bit about me. So I live in the hills and the peace in Spain, and I live with my two beautiful, if somewhat naughty, doggies, and a great lover of cake, but I don't have any cake today. In terms of what I do, I'm a very intuitive coach. So I work with people in a number of different ways. So in terms of like the healing side, it's all about clearing those blocks and really getting in touch with who you are and discovering what it is you want to create in the world. And I do that with obviously writing, because writing is my thing. So, I produce things, hang on, where's the camera? Things like little journaling books. I work with the chakras, and I'm just in the process of writing some books, journaling books again, but taking that journey through the chakras. I've helped countless people write books, all sorts of stuff. But I think that in terms of my healing journey, what has been amazing for me is how the power of writing combined with energy work and crystals and whatever else I can lay my hands on has really helped me to get in touch with my heart and soul, to be able to see like a pathway through to bring about the magic of healing.
It is really amazing. I mean, even if you just cut yourself a little bit with, paper cut and you watch it heal, how does the body know how to do this? To repair the tissue, to repair the skin, and then to make it almost like a small cut, almost like it never happened. And this I think is miraculous. Now, we don't, grow a new tail yet, like a lizard.
We might be. I might have my tail hidden. I wish I'd put my horns and tail on for you.
That would have been fun. But we really don't know all that is possible. How except that I know from playing with my own body, from exploring your body, what makes it feel enlivened and what makes it feel, the only thing I can think of is like deflated heavy, smashed.
Mm.
And part of healing, it's all of the invisible part. And it's one of the things I encourage people during these times that we're living through
Mm.
is to pay attention to how their thinking affects how their body feels, because that can have a really challenging effect on your immune system.
Mm.
So our immune systems are working hard enough almost all the time to deal with the world around us. But when we are frightened or angry or whatever, like there's this other thing that a long time ago, when I used to try and smash myself into a box that I didn't fit in.
Mm.
I know you know what that's like. That feeling, that all stresses our body's functioning and its immune system. So I think writing is such a beautiful way to connect with the parts of ourselves that don't always, we want to say, don't always show up, and they have words, but words aren't their first thing. But somehow in journaling, you have such beautiful prompts that you send out. The 101 days, oh my heavens, that is just gloriously rich. And you just start with that, and something opens up.
Mm.
And that's for me, that's the beauty of writing.
It's really curious. Like right at the moment, we've just had a full moon, for example, and I'm not an astrologer and I'm not a moonologist or whatever they call themselves, but I'm really fascinated by when you read what the experts say about stuff, how we connect that into the chakras, and then how we connect that to our journaling. So what happened for me this full moon, I got a little bit triggered by a few things, I have to say, and stuff came up, and it wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't like terribly unpleasant, because I've done so much work on myself. But what I was able to do with my journal is I looked and said, right, so we've got a full moon in Gemini. That's an air sign. Which chakra is that? That's my heart. So it's like, bring yourself into your heart. What are you doing that isn't feeding your heart and soul? And I just kind of like, I read several different things that astrologers said, and then I tapped in and said, well, what resonates with me? And then, of course, the sun is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. I got my words twisted then. Solar plexus. So that's a lot about identity. And what was coming up for me about being triggered was about who I was. And then I had this wonderful realization. It took a couple of days, I have to say, a couple of days of journaling and doing all sorts, eating extra cake and taking the dogs for walks. And then I suddenly went, I need to let some parts of me go that aren't serving me, because these are immensely stressful times. Stuff is coming up because, I don't, we're wearing masks. That's going over here. And that's affecting our finding our voice, speaking our truth. A lot of people feel very aggressive about it. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and we've just had this wonderful full moon, this wonderful thing about releasing. So we've got, the full moon in Gemini, we've got the sun in Sag, and it's like, what do we need to let go of that is causing this stuff to come up? Because people do feel like we're being suppressed, and I don't like it at all. But I'm not going to fight the system. Where I live, you'll get arrested if you don't wear a mask. Right. So I'm very lucky. I can walk the dogs 4 times a day. I don't have to wear a mask. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I can breathe fresh air. I can connect with Mother Earth. But it's like when you go to the local shop and you can feel that energy, and people are stuck behind these things. And of course, because you can't see people's lips, You can't tell what they're saying. You can't tell what they're saying. You know, I was stopped by someone today, and we both had our masks on, and I just stood there thinking, I can't hear what he said, apart from the fact he was talking in Spanish, and I'm like, I don't really understand all the words, and I can't see your mouth, and you know, so there's, you know, all that stuff is going on. But of course, if you come back to this, and you know, write the stuff that's going on, then you've got I believe, a greater opportunity of finding that voice, expressing your truth, and getting all the rubbish out.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of times we clog up our brains, we clog up our bodies, but with foods and things that, what do I want to say? It's not exactly rubbish, but it just slows everything down to
I
process.
know.
And the thoughts, a lot of times the thoughts are rubbish. And at the same time, I think we can give ourselves some credit and some compassion that when the thought occurred, it was perhaps a thought that our whole system thought would be helpful and protect us.
Of course.
And then it gets embedded and it gets used. It becomes a habit, and it gets used in the wrong situation. And then it turns into some baggage that we're carrying. And unraveling all of that. And I see you smiling, and I see you holding your book and smiling, and it is an adventure. Kind of. It's an adventure through our past, through who we were, who we are, which isn't. I found an old folder. I might put these pictures up. They were so beautiful. When I was 20, 21, 22, dancing. And Red Skelton came to our university, and this was such an icon in my youth that it was really wonderful to meet him. And I'm throwing things away that I don't need anymore. And I was like, no, I'm not going to throw these away. These are special. And so that's the other thing about journaling is you can find the things that nourish you that you want to keep. And there's something about writing, and I think writing by hand, not on the computer, that helps me at least sort through things. And if my ideas are spinning, I can sort of put these ones spinning over here and these ones spinning down here, and then I can look at them and I say, oh well, they could just spin by themselves, and I can go forward.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful way of just letting stuff go. I mean, you know, I've been journaling. I was trying to work it out the other day. It's got to be over 30 years. Of course, I don't look older than I'm 30, but I've been journaling for a long time, and the way I journal has changed. You know, when I go back into the memories of that, you know, younger person and where I was in my life, it was massively angry, you know. And if I was that person then living in our times now, I think I'd be gouging my journal, be like, I hate it, you know. And I'm very philosophical about things now, and it's like, we need to find, a space to express ourselves, but how we've grown, when we embark on this path. When I think back to, what it was like waking up in the early hours of the morning and hating my life, hating who I was with. I'm just praying that my dogs don't start doing anything, hating all that stuff about my life. I think that if the then, the me then was living in the times now, I think my journals would be filled with a lot more angry stuff. But, I think what's important to anyone who's watching this is, if you've never journaled, and, if you are feeling fearful, anxiety, stress, feeling like you're muzzled, feeling like you're not able to, express yourself, and any other range of emotions, start now, because today is a great day to start the healing, isn't it? Doesn't matter that you've never done something before, but today is the best day to start. And what I love about journaling is that actually there are no rules. I know when I first started doing it, I found it really difficult. It was like, well, aren't I supposed to be doing something? And, and then over the years, different people come out with different things. And I just think, do you know what? Why don't you just do what you want to do? And I say to people, if you're struggling, try prompts. But also if you're struggling, start with the mundane. Today I ate fish and chips and I had a big cup of tea. That probably sounds very British. And a big cup of tea, followed by a nice slice of cake. And then what will happen is your writing muse will take over and let the stuff out. Or, like today I shouted at Mr. Jones because he did whatever and I think he's a jerk. And then the rest of the stuff will flow. So it's always start with the mundane, and just trust that the whatever needs to come out will come out, and you'll be amazed at what you write.
And in the beginning, you don't need to do anything with it.
No.
It's sort of like parts of yourself communicating with you.
Absolutely.
And another, like what you said, is just start. I love the mundane, because I'm thinking about tea, and I really like this kind of tea, and I'm like, all right, you're not writing right now. Stay focused.
But it'll come.
I was going off on your journaling journey there. And something that was really interesting, I don't know if you said this to me or somebody else, but if you're writing, and it's kind of flowing and stuff, and then you come to a stopping place, you can either stop or you can start with your first sentence again. And then, and after the first few words, you start going again, and it's like a completely different episode. And you're like,
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
And so we did talk about this, the not being able to see somebody's mouth, also not being able to see their whole face. And on the healing path, early, my friend Esther, Esther came on, and she did some breathing, and she did a clearing breath for people. And I did that clearing breath after I taught dance in a mask for 3 hours. And I thought I was fine. And I went out to lunch with a friend, and then I started my 2.5-hour drive home. And 40 minutes into the drive, I'm like closing one eye, and then I'm closing the other eye. And I'm like, Laura, you got to stop, because when you drive that way, there's not a lot of traffic here, but eventually you close both eyes. And so I pulled off in a rest area, and I slept for half an hour. And when I woke up, I'm like, I was extra fatigued. My teaching wasn't that hard, but trying to communicate with 40 or 50 girls in a big studio, loud enough so they can hear me, through a stupid thing, through a thing that makes it really hard for them to hear you.
It's difficult, Laura, but also, I think we're breathing in chemicals from the masks. I have a little bit of a lung condition, nothing active. I was quite surprised when I went and had my lungs, whatever they scan they do, because I started a cough last October. But, I looked at it from a metaphysical perspective, lungs, grief, heart, get the old, the journal thing out. And what I've noticed is if I spend a long time in a mask, this cough is exacerbated. But I've got a wonderful thing. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. It's a salt pipe. It's only a little thing like this. And there's like Himalayan or sea salt in it. And it clears all of your lungs and stuff like that. But every time that happens, I come back to my journal and I say, what is it? Because in Chinese medicine, lungs is grief, but it's also connected to the heart. And I just explore, what am I grieving? I'm grieving my loss of my freedom. I'm grieving the fact that I can't speak properly with people. What else is what else is happening? And I think lots of people will be having, like your experience that you just described. It does make you tired because you're breathing back in your own carbon dioxide. I was going to say monoxide then, but that's definitely not the case. It's difficult, but I think it's important that we appreciate what's going on in the world. I refuse to get political about any of it. I've got a whole lockdown journal about what I really think, but it's private. And if anyone knocks on my door, I'm going to put it on the fire and burn it. But it's difficult because there's for me there's so much going on. That we're suppressing stuff. We're not able to communicate in the way that we want. It is lungs. It is connected to grief and the heart. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
And I was just talking to a friend of mine who teaches middle school and high school age students. And she's become very concerned because she said that those two groups of people, especially in the US, are already shy about speaking up. And I think if people play with their journals, some of the place where they will find that they shut themselves down was in those teenage years, in the time of trying to fit in and not fitting in and all of that. And so that's a pivotal time. It's not necessarily a bad time or whatever, but that's when what she calls muzzling first starts. And self-muzzling. And then like for people like you and me who have a ton of energy and ideas, I sort of think, I feel for myself for sure. I had to get to a certain age to be able to manage the energies that I have.
Yes.
As a young person, they would come shooting out and roll somebody over. And it wasn't my intention at all, but it took me a long time to understand who I am and how I function in the world.
Yeah.
And I had so much tension in my voice, I couldn't sing. I was always sharp. And over the last 2 or 3 years, as I have become more at ease in myself, my whole vocal mechanism has shifted and changed. And I have these periods of time where I remember, well, actually, I thought I was nonverbal.
Not true.
Yeah, I thought I was a dancer because I was nonverbal. I chose movement to express myself because I couldn't deal with words. Whatever. But it was an idea I had. And so this idea of, if you have any suggestions about how to, what do I want to say? I think there's several things. We want to keep the throat chakra healthy and active in this kind of muzzling time.
Yeah.
And your mouth is where the words from this center come out and connect to the world.
They do. Okay. So a couple of ideas. So the first one is very much a journaling thing. So if you struggle with journaling, get some journaling prompts. But my suggestion would be, so this is my journal that goes with an affirmation book. So these affirmations are the ones that are in the 101 days, but they're just affirmations. So if you were doing something like the 101 days, so my suggestion would be is that you do some writing. Now, the throat wants to express. So if you've been stuck in a situation where you haven't been able to talk, or, get yourself heard or whatever, is write something in your journal and then read it aloud, because the throat wants to be expressing. So I have actually, I've got no idea what I've written here, and I'm not sure if I'll continue to read it. But this says, this is day 10, page 169. Today I am responsible for my inner peace. I love this. It means focus on me and what I need to do to bring me inner peace. One of my problems has been to feel responsible for others. Oh God, I can't even read that. It was hard today to acknowledge that I am not responsible for other people. So when I've read hardly anything. I can't even see where the screen is. I've read hardly anything, but what I've been able to do is write it and then say it out loud. And I think talking out loud is really going to help to kind of release and let people express it. Now, if people don't want to talk out loud and read their journal, this thing here, this mobile phone, where it is there, go for a walk. Talk into your phone while you're walking, and then you may want to listen back to it. Now, what is interesting about the phone and the 101 days that we talked about is when I first left the UK and came to Spain, from my leadership days, we always talk about the first 100 days of leadership. I came to Spain, left a horrible, horrible situation. For 101 days, I talked in my phone every day, but I videoed myself. And I talked. And I can tell you, sometimes when I listened back, it broke my heart. So what I did is I talked first and then I journaled. So if you mix the writing and the talking in whichever way suits you, that will be deeply, deeply healing. Right. Other things you can do. I'm desperately looking around. I have got absolutely no blue crystals here. Now,
I think I have to go look if I have any blue ones.
I've got masses of crystals. I just don't have them on my desk. So here's something that you can do. Here's something else that you can do. Now, I never advise people to put their hands on their throat, because that's like being strangled. You might feel like you're being strangled. So if you just rub your hands together and just place your hands, you can put one on your heart and one just near here. And imagine you've got roots growing from the bottom of your feet, and you take those roots into the heart of Mother Earth, and then you breathe in that beautiful, beautiful grounding energy into your heart, and just breathe in and out a few times. In and out, in and out. And then bring your focus to your throat. So you've got a hand on your heart, you've got a hand on your throat, and just say, what do you want me to know? Now, here's the most important thing. Whatever comes into your head. Now, we all get messages from spirit, guides, angels, God, whoever, whatever your belief system is, in different ways. So you might have seen an image, you might have heard a word or a song, or you might get a sense of knowing. All I want to say to you is whatever comes into your head, scribble it in your journal and just explore. So that's another way, is to use your hand. And I apologize. Imagine this is a blue crystal. Just imagine, and a small blue crystal. So the other things you can do is, when you're laying in bed, is to place either blue crystals or blue scarves. And if all you've got is a blue bottle of water, something blue. And just visualize that amazing blue energy healing whatever needs to be healed. Same rules apply. If you get images, pictures of maybe something from your childhood, or words or songs, just record them in your journal. So when I had an overactive thyroid, which is throat chakra shutting, being shut down as a child. Shut up, child. Speak when you're spoken to. Shut up, daughter. It's my dad. Sorry, dad. But all of that stuff that goes on. So when I got told I had an overactive thyroid, I didn't tell the doctor all about the energy things that I did, but I did a lot of affirmations. I did a lot of visualization. I put lots of crystals here, used my hands and all sorts of things. And I often would, I'm very visual. So I would see a childhood scene. And it's not about going into the scene. It's about standing back as an observer and saying, that's kind of interesting. What is it you want to tell me? What's the scene? So you're traveling along the routes of the things that need to be healed. So in these times, journal, talk or journal. Hands, use crystals, visualizations, but allow. Now, here's the thing about when memories come up is the you now is not the you then. These things happened for you, not to you. You are not a victim. And when you observe it from the you now, you are strong, you're powerful, you are more brilliant and braver than you will ever know. Oh, I'm getting emotional. But look at those things from the you now perspective and go, what am I learning? Journal, speak it out. So I hope those few things will help anybody who's listening to this.
I think so. They're because for me, I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this message. I got to write as soon as we hang up. I'm writing some more, and it's just soft and gentle. And when you were talking about like a memory that comes up, I was thinking about my friend Ione who spoke about dreams and working. Memories are often like dreams. And if, like you said, we are not back then, we aren't there, we don't have to go into it. So we can look at it from a new perspective, this perspective of who we are now. And compassion too. I think compassion is really important.
Oh, kindness and compassion, definitely.
So that we can, it's always, even if we made mistakes, okay, everybody makes mistakes. It's okay. So
that's very true.
I think that's some wonderful, beautiful help. And I need to, I think I tell people that there's ways to connect with you in the description.
Okay.
That feel free to connect, and I will send you links to here. If you have, people might put questions or comments when they watch the video, and you're in the Healing Path group so that you'll see them and you'll be able
brilliant. Yeah. So if people tag me with any questions, just make sure you do tag me, because otherwise I won't know, because of the way that Facebook does all of the notifications. But I'll happily come in and answer anything. What have I let myself in for? But I'll answer absolutely anything. And if I have any resources, like maybe a blog that I've written or something that would support people, then great. Just come and find me.
Yep. And the writing journey, the healing journey, these just overlap. And I think if people start writing, their path is going to be revealed to them.
Yeah. I think that the final thing that I'd like to say is that, we often spend our time searching for our purpose. Writing helps us discover what we want and who we are. And that's just another way of discovering what your life purpose is. So, it's not about getting hung up on anything, but you're right. Writing will reveal who you are, who you want to become, and, the stuff that you want to create in the world. I could talk for like another million years on this, but I need to go and walk. I need to go and walk my dogs before it gets dark.
So we might come back and talk about a different chakra, talk about a different aspect of writing. So if people have questions or ideas or comments that come up in an area, we can certainly come back and do another conversation focused on that.
I would love to do that. Yes.
because I think that we just touched the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, I know I think when both you and I are passionate in our both the areas that we work in, and you start talking, and it's like, where do you stop? Where do you stop? And somewhere, you have to take that time out and let people absorb, what we've talked, and we've talked about a lot.
We did, and a lot of it, especially what you read from your journal, was really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And I might make some comments too to remind people of what they can do to take care of themselves.
Perfect.
And this idea that your next step, you don't have to know the whole route, but if you write, your next step will show up for you.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for coming here from Spain in the late afternoon.
Well, I've got a fire going, which I hope is still in, because it's so. People think Spain is hot. It's absolutely freezing cold. So I've lit a fire, and I'm praying that the fire has stayed in while we've been talking, because I got all the flames going. I've got to take the girls out for a walk because they will give me such a hard time. I am wrapped around their paws. I have to obey. So yes, I've got to get out before it gets dark, because there's no way I'm walking out there in the dark.
Well, take good care of yourself. Have a beautiful walk. And if you have enough biscuit resources, give the dogs a biscuit for me.
Wills, do you want a biscuit off your Auntie Laura? Oh yeah, Angel's tail's going. She definitely wants a biscuit.
Thank you, Dale. Thanks so much.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Bye-bye.